They didn't see Noah for who he was. They only saw the ghost of his father's past. The moment Noah walked through the doors of Jefferson High, whispers followed like shadows. That's him. His dad was in rehab. The addict's son. It didn't matter that his father had been clean for months, fighting every day to rebuild his life. The world around Noah had already decided who he was, guilty by association. Noah dealt with it the only way he knew how, with sarcasm. When one boy muttered too loudly in the hallway, "Careful, don't get too close, might catch what his dad had," Noah shot back instantly. Relax. Ignorance isn't contagious. Otherwise you'd be patient zero. A ripple of laughter broke out. The boy turned red, but the damage was done. Noah had already moved on, wearing a crooked grin that masked the sting inside. Lunchtime wasn't much better. He sat at the corner table, tray untouched, while groups at other tables leaned together, whispering. He caught fragments, probably just like him, and, give it a year. Noah tapped his fork against the tray, thinking of 100 biting comebacks, but none of them would change the fact that they had already written his story. His eyes drifted across the cafeteria to where Emily sat with her friends. She laughed at something, her smile lighting up the dull room. Noah quickly looked away. He liked her, more than he wanted to admit, but the thought of actually talking to her was unbearable. What if she already thinks I'm trash? He thought. What if she looks at me the way the rest of them do? That evening, the weight of the day followed him home. His father, Daniel, was in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, cooking something simple. The man looked healthier than he had in years, but the tiredness in his eyes told another story. Recovery was a battle fought every single day. How was school? Daniel asked carefully, as if bracing for impact. Noah dropped his bag on the floor. Oh, you know. Same as always. I got promoted today. Daniel frowned, confused. Promoted? Yeah, Noah said dryly. From being that kid to being the addict's son. Real career move. Daniel exhaled slowly, guilt flashing across his face. Noah. Don't, Noah cut in, raising a hand. It's not like you planned for this. Just means I get free entertainment. Everyone thinks they're comedians. But when he went to his room later that night, dropping onto his bed, the grin faded. Sarcasm could cut others, sure. But it couldn't cut through the wall of assumptions that closed in tighter every day. And somewhere deep down, Noah knew that being the addict's son wasn't just a label people used to mock him. It was an invitation. A warning. And maybe, just maybe, a door opening to something darker. By Wednesday, the weight of whispers was heavier than ever. Noah had perfected the art of firing back with sarcasm, but even sharp words couldn't erase the label stamped across his forehead. The addict's son. That afternoon, as the final bell rang, Noah lingered by his locker, stacking books into his bag. Most students had already left, their voices echoing faintly down the hall. That's when he noticed someone leaning casually against the lockers across from him. Ray. Ray was a junior, a year older, the kind of guy who always seemed to have cash, a smirk, and a reputation that walked into the room before he did. His sneakers were spotless, his hoodie expensive. Everyone knew he wasn't just lucky. Rumors swirled about what he sold, who he knew, and how he never got caught. You're Noah, right? Ray asked, his tone smooth, almost friendly. Noah raised an eyebrow. Depends who's asking. If you're a cop, I've got a different name. Ray chuckled. Relax, man. Just thought I'd introduce myself. Word gets around, you know. Noah shut his locker with a clang. Yeah, I'm painfully aware. Everyone's got their own little script for me. Want to add yours? Not exactly. Ray tilted his head, studying him. See, you've already got the reputation. People think you're trouble. That can be a curse, or an opportunity. Noah's stomach tightened, though he kept his face neutral. An opportunity for what? A discount at rehab? Ray smirked wider. You're funny. I like that. Look, here's the deal. I move a little product around here. Nothing crazy. People trust me, but sometimes it helps to have someone else deliver. Less heat, you know. You'd be perfect. No one expects much from you anyway. For a moment, Noah just stared at him. It was absurd. Insane. And yet, his words hit a nerve. Ray wasn't wrong. People already believed Noah was destined to mess up. Why not cash in on it? You're kidding, Noah finally said, though his voice lacked conviction. Ray shrugged. You think I'm standing here wasting time? You walk a package across the park, someone gives you cash, you hand it to me. Easy. You make money, you stop being broke, and maybe people stop seeing you as just the addict's son. That last line pierced deeper than Noah wanted to admit. Not just the addict's son. The thought of being something else, even in the wrong way, was tempting. But he masked it with sarcasm. Wow. Every kid's dream. Instead of college, I'll get my degree in felony studies. Ray leaned closer, lowering his voice. You're already living with their judgment. Might as well get something out of it. The words stuck with Noah long after Ray walked away. He told himself he'd never actually do it. That it was stupid, reckless, dangerous. But that night, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, the offer replayed in his head like a broken record. No one expects much from you anyway. The next day, when Ray slid a small envelope across the lunch table and said, just one run. See how it feels, Noah didn't push it back. He slid it into his backpack, his pulse pounding. Saturday afternoon was gray, the kind of day when even the sky seemed tired. Noah stood at the edge of the park, hands shoved into his hoodie pocket, staring at the envelope Ray had given him. It felt heavier than paper, like it carried every rumor, every whisper, every mocking laugh from school. Ray's instructions had been simple: walk across the park, hand the envelope to a guy in a black jacket, take the money, walk away. Easy. Too easy, Noah thought. His pulse pounded as he spotted the man on the other side. Mid-30s, hood pulled low, leaning casually against a bench. Noah's throat was dry, but his legs carried him forward. The man didn't speak. Just held out his hand. Noah passed the envelope, received a folded wad of bills in return, and turned back the way he came. That was it. Done. No sirens, no alarms, no one yelling his name. And yet, his chest buzzed with something he couldn't quite define, a cocktail of fear, adrenaline, and something close to triumph. For once, he wasn't powerless. For once, he was more than the addict's son. When he met Ray later that evening, the older boy grinned. See? Easy money. You didn't even flinch. Noah tossed the cash onto the table between them. Didn't know being invisible was a job skill. Ray laughed. That's what I like about you. You're sharp. You've got that edge. People underestimate you, and that makes you perfect. On the walk home, Noah tried to shake off the feeling gnawing at him. The money in his pocket was real. The whispers at school were real too. But the look on Ray's face, like he had just recruited a new player to his game, that was the part Noah couldn't stop thinking about. At dinner, Daniel noticed the way Noah picked at his food, distracted. Everything okay? He asked, voice steady but searching. Noah forced a smirk. Yeah. Just the usual. People love to remind me of your greatest hits. Daniel's face fell, guilt flashing across his eyes. But before he could say anything, Noah stood. I'm fine, Dad. Really? He wasn't. That night, as Noah lay in bed, he pulled the bills out of his pocket and stared at them under the dim lamplight. Crumpled 20s, a single 50. More money than he'd ever made in his life. This is wrong, he told himself. This is dangerous. But another thought crept in, quiet, poisonous, it also felt good. And in that moment, Noah realized something terrifying, it wasn't just the world that saw him as his father's son. For the first time, he wondered if maybe they weren't entirely wrong. Sunday morning was quiet, the kind of stillness Noah usually liked. But this time, the silence felt heavy. He sat at his desk, trying to do homework, when the door creaked open. Daniel stepped inside, holding something in his hand. A folded wad of bills. Noah froze. His backpack sat open on the bed. He hadn't even noticed his father come in earlier to grab the laundry basket. Daniel's face was pale, his jaw clenched. "Noah," he said slowly, "where did this come from?" Noah's throat tightened, but he forced out sarcasm. "What, a kid can't save up birthday money?" Daniel slammed the bills down on the desk, harder than Noah had ever seen him move. "Don't lie to me. I've lived this life. I know what that cash looks like. Crumpled, uncounted, shoved in a pocket. That's not birthday money. That's dirt." The words hit like a hammer. Noah stood quickly, his voice rising. "So what if it is? Everyone already thinks I'm trash anyway. Might as well make some money off it." Daniel's eyes burned. "Don't you dare say that. Don't you dare let them decide who you are. I already let people decide who I was, and look where it got me." He jabbed a finger at his own chest, his voice breaking. "Years wasted. Your childhood stolen. You think I don't know the shame you carry? I put it there. And it's the one thing I would give anything to take back." Noah's anger cracked, but he held his ground. "You don't get it. I walk into school and they don't see me, they see you. Your past. Your mistakes. I can't escape it." Daniel took a step closer, his voice low but sharp as glass. "You think picking up where I left off is going to free you? You think proving them right will make the weight easier? No, Noah. It'll crush you. It'll turn into a chain you'll never break." Noah swallowed hard, words caught in his throat. For the first time, sarcasm failed him. Daniel's voice softened, but his eyes stayed fierce. "You want to be more than my past? Then be more. You've got brains, wit, fire, all the things I wasted. Don't you dare waste them too. Don't hand your future to the same poison that almost killed me." Silence filled the room. The only sound was Noah's uneven breathing. He wanted to snap back, to laugh it off, to pretend the speech hadn't cut him. But deep down, it had. Every word sank like a weight he couldn't shake. Daniel stepped back, leaving the bills on the desk. "You still have a choice, Noah. But every time you take their judgment and use it as an excuse, you hand them the pen to write your story. Don't let them write it for you." He turned and walked out, closing the door behind him. Noah sank onto the bed, staring at the pile of money like it was poison. His father's words echoed in his head, refusing to let him rest. For the first time since Ray's offer, Noah wasn't sure if he could keep playing this game. But walking away, that felt even harder. Monday dragged slower than usual. Noah moved through the hallways with his hands in his pockets, his father's words echoing in his head, "Every time you use their judgment as an excuse, you hand them the pen to write your story." But the weight in his backpack told another story. Money. Proof that he had already started letting someone else write his future. Ray caught up with him after school, leaning against the bike racks with his usual grin. "There he is. My guy." Noah narrowed his eyes. "Don't call me that." "Relax," Ray said, clapping a hand on his shoulder. "You did good last time. Clean, no problems. Which is why I've got something bigger for you." Noah's stomach tightened. "Bigger?" Ray slid a small plastic bag from his hoodie pocket, concealed by his palm. Just a quick handoff. Student from another school. He'll meet you behind the bleachers tomorrow morning. Easy cash. Noah glanced at the bag, then quickly looked away, heat rushing to his face. That's not what I signed up for. Ray smirked. Signed up? You think this is some club you can cancel? You're in. And trust me, this is still light work. Noah shoved his hands deeper into his pockets, masking the tremor in them. And what if I say no? Ray's grin faded. His eyes hardened. Then word gets out. People start asking questions. Maybe they think you're talking to someone. Maybe they think you can't be trusted. And trust me, Noah, you don't want that. The threat was subtle, but sharp enough to slice through the air. Noah forced a crooked smile, trying to hide the knot in his stomach. Wow, you should teach a class in motivational speaking. Ray chuckled, but the look in his eyes was anything but friendly. He patted Noah's shoulder once more, firm this time. Tomorrow. Don't be late. When Noah got home that night, Daniel was on the porch, sipping coffee in silence. His father's gaze flicked toward him, then back to the street. Noah couldn't shake the feeling that Daniel knew, or at least suspected, how deep he was in. Inside his room, Noah sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the ceiling. His mind was a storm, his father's furious words, Ray's quiet threat, the bag he hadn't even wanted to look at. This is the line, he thought. If I cross it, there's no going back. He pulled out his phone, scrolling aimlessly, anything to distract himself. That's when a new message popped up. It was from Emily. Hey. You seemed off today. You okay? Noah stared at the screen, frozen. She had noticed. She cared enough to ask. For a moment, the chaos in his chest quieted. But when his eyes drifted back to the wad of bills in his drawer, the silence didn't last. Tomorrow, behind the bleachers, he would have to choose. The next morning, the sky was dull and heavy, the kind of weather that made everything feel colder than it was. Noah walked toward the bleachers, hands deep in his hoodie pocket, the small bag from Ray tucked inside. His chest tightened with every step. He wasn't stupid. He knew what this meant. One job turned into another, and another, until you weren't delivering envelopes anymore, you were living the life Ray wanted for you. A life Noah had already seen destroy his father. But Noah wasn't planning to play Ray's game today. Behind the bleachers, the buyer was waiting, a tall kid from another school, jittery, eyes darting around. He looked more scared than Noah felt. You got it? The boy whispered. Noah smirked, pulling his hand from his pocket. But instead of the bag, he held up his phone, already recording. Smile. You're on candid camera. The boy's face drained of color. What the hell? Relax, Noah cut in, lowering his voice. You're not in trouble. Yet. But here's the deal, I don't do business. Not for Ray, not for anyone. And if he asks why, you tell him this, I'm too visible. Too risky. The addict's kid, always watched, always judged. If I go down, I take everyone with me. That includes him. The boy stammered, but Noah pressed on, his words sharp and fast. You want this bag? Take it back to Ray. Tell him I said thanks, but no thanks. And tell him if he tries to drag me in again, this video hits every teacher's inbox by the end of the day. He flashed the screen once more, then slipped the phone back into his pocket. The boy hesitated, then grabbed the bag and bolted, disappearing behind the gym. Noah stood there for a long moment, his heart pounding so loud it drowned out the morning chatter of students arriving. His hands shook, but a grin tugged at his lips. For once, he wasn't just reacting. He was deciding. At lunch, Ray cornered him by the lockers, grin tight and eyes dark. What happened this morning? Noah leaned casually against the locker, crossing his arms. Oh, I told your guy I'm out. Gave him the merchandise back. Easy. Ray's jaw clenched. You think you can just walk away? Noah's smirk sharpened. Not think. No. You wanted me because I was invisible, right? Guess what, I'm not invisible anymore. Everyone watches me, waiting for me to screw up. That makes me the worst cover you could ever have. I'm a liability. Keep me in, and sooner or later, they trace it back to you. Ray stared at him, seething, but Noah didn't flinch. He leaned closer, his voice low. So here's how it goes, you leave me out, and I keep my mouth shut. Try to pull me back in, and every teacher in this school gets a nice little video surprise. Your choice. For a long moment, the air was thick with tension. Then Ray forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. You've got guts, Miller. I'll give you that. He stepped back, hands raised as if in surrender. Fine. You're out. For now. Noah watched him walk away, his pulse still racing. He knew Ray wasn't done, people like him never were. But for the first time, Noah felt like he'd wrestled control back into his own hands. That evening, Daniel found him sitting on the porch, staring at the sunset. The silence stretched before Daniel finally asked, "Rough day?" Noah let out a breath. You could say that. But I think I just dodged a bullet. Daniel studied him for a long moment, something like relief flickering in his eyes. Good. Because one bullet is all it takes. Noah didn't answer, but deep inside, he knew the fight wasn't over. He had escaped Ray's game, for now. But he still had one battle left, proving, to everyone and to himself, that he wasn't destined to repeat his father's past. The air in Noah's room felt different that night. Lighter somehow, but also charged, like the calm after a storm. He sat at his desk, staring at the small pile of cash he still had hidden away. It looked pathetic now, flimsy, meaningless. Just paper with the power to destroy him. He didn't hear his father step in until Daniel spoke softly. You want to tell me what happened today? Noah turned, meeting his father's tired but steady gaze. For a moment, he thought about lying again. But something inside him cracked. Maybe it was the way Daniel's eyes carried both anger and love, or maybe it was the weight of his own exhaustion. I almost became you, Noah said, the words spilling out before he could stop them. Ray had me running packages. Just small stuff at first. And today. I almost went further. I almost let myself believe I had no choice. Daniel's shoulders stiffened. He crossed the room, sitting heavily on the bed. His voice was quiet, but it cut through the silence like steel. Noah, the world already wants you to fail. Already waits for you to trip so they can say, see? Just like his father. Don't you dare hand them that satisfaction. Noah swallowed hard, guilt burning his throat. You don't get it. Every day I walk into that school, and I'm not me. I'm your mistakes. And for a second, it felt easier to just become what they already think I am. Daniel's eyes shimmered, but his voice grew stronger. I do get it. More than you know. Because that's exactly how I started. I told myself it didn't matter, everyone already thought I was trash, so why not act like it? And I wasted years proving them right. But listen to me, son, he leaned forward, gripping Noah's shoulder. You have something I didn't. You have the chance to stop the cycle before it owns you. You are not me. You never were. Noah's chest tightened, but for the first time, he believed those words. Later that week, he finally gathered the courage to talk to Emily. She found him by the library steps, alone, hands shoved deep into his pockets. You've been different lately, she said, tilting her head. Quieter. He forced a crooked smile. Guess sarcasm only works for so long. Emily studied him for a moment, then lowered her voice. I saw some of the things people said to you. I hated it. I wanted to say something, but I didn't know how. You always seemed like you had everything under control. Noah let out a bitter laugh. Yeah, that's the trick. Look like you're in control even when you're drowning. Emily's expression softened. I don't care about your dad's past. I care about who you are. And I see someone who fights harder than anyone else just to be himself. That matters more than anything. The words hit him harder than Ray's threats, harder than the whispers in the halls. He looked at her, truly looked, and for once, he didn't feel like the addict's son. He just felt like Noah. Thanks, he said quietly. You don't know how much I needed to hear that. She smiled. Then maybe you should hear it more often. They sat there together, the noise of the school fading into the background. For the first time in weeks, Noah's chest loosened. He wasn't free from judgment. The world wouldn't change overnight. But something inside him had shifted. As he walked home that evening, he found his father waiting on the porch, arms crossed, but this time there was no suspicion in his eyes. Only pride. Daniel's voice was steady, carrying the weight of both warning and hope. Remember this, Noah, people will always try to chain you to my mistakes. But chains only work if you keep carrying them. You let go today. Don't ever pick them back up. Noah nodded slowly, the words etching into him like a vow. For the first time, he felt it, not just the fight against his father's shadow, but the light of his own future. And he knew one thing with absolute certainty, he wasn't destined to repeat history. He was destined to break it.